Hello and welcome to the Tinfoil Hat News. This video is not for kids as it is news. There is no cussing, there is no cursing. In my previous video, I stated that I had a gun. I don't. I don't own a gun. I have yet to apply for a gun. However, I am doing something a little more interesting. I'm actually trying to force the hands of the California government to admit their list of people that are on the red flag law, right? It is very dangerous that they've managed to not tell people who've been put on the red flag law list. And because of that, it's a violation of due process. A person like me is having, if the red flag laws, they are probably being used to slander people's names and credibility from getting a job, hurt their security clearance. And what I'm attempting to do is to gather evidence. Now, I don't own a gun or a firearm. I will say this, though. If the police come up knocking on my door saying that, oh, you're under the red flag law, I will then say, oh, really? Because the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to get a lawyer for a federal lawsuit against the state of California and the politicians or the people who put in these red flag laws for violating due process. Now, when these laws are set up, I believe that Americans have a right to know if they've been falsely accused of something, if their name and stuff has been slandered, and then they should be allowed to face those who've made the accusations and sue them into oblivion because, baby, I need a Ferrari. And yes, I will be contacting you beautiful civil rights lawyers out there. Because when it comes down to red flag laws, they're not just going to be used for people against people who are trying to get guns. They're going to be used for other purposes, kicking people out of jobs. And if you're a person of color, they're going to be used against you. Mark my words. A list of people that shouldn't own a gun based on hearsay, and those people have not been notified that they're on this list. Now, I don't know what a violation of due process, but this one just screams violation of due process. And if you live in a state that has a red flag law, which there are 19 of them, talk to your friends, talk to your family. Talk to everyone and get some money and get some lawyers to sue these states. And if we can get together, just enough of us, get this to the Supreme Court, it will require all states that when your name is put on a red flag, on the red flag law list, that you have a right to have a day in court and sue the person or sue the government who made it up. The red flag laws, they should know you the moment you get on there. It should not come as a surprise. Why? Because you have a right to know. And the red flag laws are going to be used and abused by people of power. They're going to be used by people who may not agree with a certain political ideology. You may not be all for the Q and plus thing. They're going to use the red flag law against you. You may be against people talking sexuality with minors. They're going to use the red flag law against you. Now, I don't have a gun, but I will gather evidence. They come around and says, oh, well, you're on the red flag law. And they says, we're looking for your gun. I'm going to say, oh, really? What for? Do you have any evidence? Because I'm going to get that evidence. I'm going to get that cop's name, badge. I'm going to start suing because I want to take the money from the state of California and put it in my pocket. I want that money. I'm not here about the whole thing about, if I can own a gun or not. Besides, if I get enough money, I can hire security that has guns. I can care less. I just don't like the concept of a government entity putting me on a list without my due process. And this is very important that we have a right to stand up against lists that are used against us. We have a right to a fair trial in this country. And every day these states have violated this. They have violated the 14th Amendment for not protecting the individual rights. And red flag laws are a clear violation of due process. So my goal or intent in the previous video was to A, get information to find out if I'm on a red flag list and find out why. And then B, get a lawyer and sue them into oblivion. I want my money. Show me the money. Why? Because if they made up any statement, any false statement, not on facts, but on their feelings, and they did anything liable or slanderous to my name, I will get that money. And it will hurt them financially. And I encourage you to help out and get with your friends in other states. And if you're in the state of California, get with your friends. Talk to law firms. See if we can get an initiative to sue them in the Supreme Court and force these 19 states to say, you know what, we just can't put you on a red flag law without notifying you. So we can have a right to go in our day in court and challenge them. Because if they really cared about stopping violence, they would not have allowed that same violent offender who's killed people, who's shot at people 20 times, out of prison. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to try to make it fair. Our goal, my goal, ultimately, is to bring back due process. And if it means getting the red flag laws striked by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional due to violations of due process, of which they are, hopefully it will set precedents that we can get consistency. You know? And people like Lori Lightfoot can go to jail. I don't care. She really just destroyed all of Chicago. You know? Everyone's like, oh my God, the kids at school. What about the kids on the street who were just playing outside in basketball and got shot by a local gang? Well, we can't talk about that because, you know, those local gang members, you know, they had a hard life. Really? I'm sick of this. You want to stop violence? Be fair. Because the gun safety laws, those gun-free zones, don't stop criminals. And when you defund the police and you don't prosecute repeat violent offenders, you basically are committing a crime against humanity. So these are things to talk about. And I know I said something in the previous video, but I really don't have a gun. But I will say this, though. If I got my name put on a red flag law and they show up and they admit it to it, I'm going to make sure it's recorded. I'm going to go straight to a court and says, hey, I never got a chance to defend myself. This is a violation of due process. Never got a server to appear in court. Never got my chance. And because it's a violation of both California and federal laws for due process of court and procedures, I'm going to make sure that this lawsuit sticks. And I'm going to make sure that I get enough money to where I can live my dream house in Florida and buy me enough boats, go out to the Atlantic Ocean, and enjoy that nice white beach sands. Because my intention is to make money and to nail these guys, nutsacks, to a wall that decided to take away our rights. You know, nail their butts to a wall. Because I'm tired of it. We have rights as citizens. People have died for said rights. We didn't die for your money. We died to protect our freedoms. And I cannot knowingly live in this country and allow these people to tear at them. So, I am not here to sit there and say I'm against law enforcement. Law enforcement is very much needed to stop the crime, and they don't have an easy job. I am saying that I don't have a gun, and if I have someone approach up from law enforcement saying that I'm on the red flag law, I'm going to say, good. When was I put on there, and why was I notified? Because I am going to sue them. And that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to sue them as much money as I can get. I'm going to find an attorney that says, hey, this is a due process situation. It's time we get our money. You guys can get a third of it. Let's sue the state until they get rid of it. Because red flag laws, gun laws, they're not working. Because politicians and people of power are not enforcing gun laws. They're not keeping violent criminals out of the public. They're releasing them onto the public. They're not cutting down on the evils of the cartel and human trafficking. They're letting it go. During the Trump administration, he tried to make a national registry of exploited kids and a united agency front to stop and combat human trafficking and sexual trafficking of kids. The Biden administration got rid of it. So these are the things that when I speak with a heavy heart. And I hope that if you're a law firm out there listening, please help me. Help me in combat red flag laws. Help me make sure that red flag laws can't violate due process. That before they put your name on a red flag law, they have to send you an actual. They have to serve you a notice that you've been put on a red flag law, so you can go fight it in court and face these people, and that they have to have burden of proof that you are actually a red flag law candidate. All right, I'm all for background checks. I'm all for keeping the mentally insane away from guns that are proven to be mentally insane. What I'm not okay with is the violation of my of civil rights, individual rights, a right to due process, to get rid of slanderous language or any slanderous language used against me or my fellow American law-abiding citizens. This is a very serious situation. So, yeah. Other than that, don't commit a crime. Be good to one another, take care of each other, and be kind. Also remember, there's a very small amount of group of bad cops versus there's a good amount of good cops out there. And we have to understand that their job isn't easy, because one day they'll come up on a body of a little kid that was killed, tortured, and raped, and you're going to be, and I hate to say these things, and, they haven't been the same since. So, sorry to go dark there for a minute, but this is the situation that has happened, and the things that are going on. This video, like I said, I don't make these videos for kids because sometimes I'll talk about dark topics, and I try not to go into there. And I do not want to cuss or curse in these videos, but it's very important that we understand that red flag laws, if they don't allow for due process to face against these charges and to go after those who've made accusations and to bring them to justice and to get compensation for it, then we got a major problem. And they have to understand they can't just make these laws that violate our constitutional amendment. I have a right to due process. And if they did put me on some sort of red flag law without evidence and without notifying me, then I'm going to take every dime and dollar from every politician that has supported, every organization that has backed it, and I'm going to put that in buy me a bunch of mansions and just enjoy a nice time in Florida. Because you know why? I don't like you taking away my rights. So I'm going to take away your money from your wallet. I'm going to make sure you're broke. Because when I get to court and I get this going and I get enough people, I will make sure that I got myself a nice fancy car because your laws violated my constitutional rights. You violated due process. And I will make sure it happens because we have rights and they are absolute. Remember that. And God bless America and take care of yourself. Also, let's go, Brandon.